I can't stand her anymore. I loved Sasha Banks in WWE and thought it was well done. And honestly, at this point, she should have went back to WWE to explore who Sasha Banks could have been under the new Triple H regime, but instead took the money and is more obsessed with who Mercedes, is, and is kind of, it seems like from the outside perspective that she is abandoning the wrestling aspect, and wants to go more star route, because how they're portraying her on television every week is really infuriating. The way that they're having her be this evil queen, or evil, evil queen, kind of telling Camille to order her around, even with like her in the sling, like it's just not hitting. And then the shit that she's saying on the mic too, and the botches, like I'm not into it. Like I want Chris Statlander to essentially squash her and launch her up to the women's title division, because that's the only other place I can find for her.
So are they portraying her like she's the best woman in the company? Like she's the top
She's the
dog in the women's.
CEO.
Okay. And then by botches, do you mean botches in the ring or on the mic? Because she's infamous for both.
Well, she had a bad one when she went for the backstabber that would eventually go into the bank statement. And
On who?
Chris Statlander, but they were
Oh.
trying to do a spot where instead of going back, we're having Stat go back and then into the submission. They were going to have her stand on the back, like show how strong Stat is, because she's jacked. But she couldn't hold on, and it was a really bad, it was just not a good look. And then the whole, I don't like the whole, the way she was, talking about the Sixers not in Philly. Like they weren't in Philly, and she was talking about the Sixers.
Where were they?
Pennsylvania.
Oh.
So like she's not far off. Like, so, but like at that point, it's
also low hanging
not
fruit.
it.
Like if that's
Thank you.
if that's something that you have to rely on. Like I just saw the uh segment from whenever between Ricky Starks and MJF, and when Ricky's like, okay, you already did your shtick, like you insulted the fans and where they are, and you said this and you said that, and then he like makes fun of him for his haircut and the scarf and the boots or whatever. It's like that's what it reminds me of. Like, yeah, there are certain things that you can do as a heel, obviously making fun of the crowd and where you're at and whatever, and like that's so old school, but it's also like you shouldn't rely on that to get heat, because it's just cheap heat anyway. Like, but it doesn't really surprise me, honestly. I said that I felt like fans would get like this with her return. I was like, it probably won't take long for people to be sick of her, because part of the problem is, and I think that we've seen that time and time again with AEW, but I think she's obviously unique because they brought her in, they paid her a ton of money, they let her bring in her own writer, like she's in charge of doing whatever. I think she has too much freedom, and that's what you're seeing. That's why people are feeling this way about her, because she's doing too much of what she wants. And granted, they have the right to want to do these things, and if they have a company that is willing to let them do these things, as long as they obviously reel them in from going too overboard, that's fine. But there's a reason why they start to be perceived this way. It's because like the fans are like, okay, this ain't hitting, but like they're not changing what they're doing because, well, that's what they want to do. You know what I mean? And then, of course, we've talked about it with Jericho, where Jericho is mistaking people booing him or telling him to retire as, oh, they hate me because I'm a bad guy. And it's like, no.
Oh, no, he knows.
But you know what I mean? Like he takes it as if like, oh, I'm just doing a really good job at my job. It's like, no, that's not why. And I feel like Mercedes is just still kind of in the honeymoon phase in AEW, that she's not recognizing like that she's not the best ever. And
she's not.